episode.
It's your boy G. You already know the vibe, positive vibes only. We're here with another episode of the Mendable Hustler Podcast. And we have Toro. So today, we want to focus on solving problems. And you men here, Toro will break down pretty much what's the main topic we'll be talking about. So you go ahead.
So the topic we selected today is finding ways to accomplish, finding ways through solving your problems or focusing on your problems. So for a lot of us, whenever we have problems, like similar to what we discussed last episode, whenever we have a lot of challenges, it sort of stresses us, and we sort of focus too much on the problem. We don't really focus too much on the solution. And so we thought it's important for us to discuss on this episode ways for which we can focus on solutions rather than the problem, so we can move towards our goal rather than stay stagnant and not move anywhere forward.
Yeah, so I really wanted to focus on this topic because that's something that I struggle with, and I got better at it, but I'm still struggling with a little bit. But it's like we know life is all about getting better every day and finding ways how to improve in certain areas. So like, how can we wire our brain to focus more on the solution instead of focusing on the problem? And I have some key points that I took it down that I wanted to just some of the things that this strategy that kind of like helped me get better over some time now. And one of the main thing is keep track of your ideas. Just write it down. It's the same thing when we setting goals. You write it down, ideas and stuff like that. That things that you know it helped your previous problems. Write it down. Those kind of things. Just point in bullet point form, or like if you could taking notes and journals or whatever. It's the best writing things down, or writing things what's going on in your life, things that your experiences and stuff like that. This always helps when you're moving forward in life, just to have the right mindset. The other one is actually have the right mindset and no attitudes. And your attitude is everything, you know what I mean? So for some people who have the right mindset, who positive in most of the things they face, they tend to solve more problems than those that have the negative mindsets. And the other point is ask for feedback. Like, we're not perfect. We all have areas to improve. We always have things that we're not good at. So sometimes we just have to check our prides and ask for feedbacks. And there's always somebody that you look up to, somebody that you can share personal issues with to help you solve some problems that you have in your life. And the other point is get good at making decisions. Sometimes we think the way our brain thinks, we think that whatever at the time, the feeling that we have, we think that's the right decision. Sometimes it's always good to think twice, 3 times. If you're not sure, don't make that decision. Don't take some time. It's always good to you don't never want to make decisions when you're angry or when you're not sure. It's always good to take your time. And the other point is to consider different perspective. There's always different perspective. That's why it's good to always have a close friend that you can talk to, mom, dad, a brother and sister, a friend, like a girlfriend, a boyfriend, just to try to hear, like, you tell them the situation. Even if you don't want to tell them the problem, just tell them, like, in a way, what would you do if this happened to you? Just to hear their perspective, just so you know, so you can make a better decision, or you can see if your perspective is kind of like wrong or it's right. Then you can go ahead and make decision whenever you feel like, yeah. And always good to have mentors and role models, just because mentors and role models, somebody that you want to be like, somebody that is at the level you want to get to, somebody that you follow, somebody that you look up to, a fan, somebody that you just admire, So always good to have mentors and just to see what would they do, something like a friend, like something like that, so same thing, and have some fun. Like sometimes when most of the times that when we have problems, we tend to just like, I just be focusing on that problem. It's like, yo, have some fun. Just try to take that out of the mind, get out of that zone for like a couple hours, and then you get back to it, and it will be better. Your mind will be more calm, and you'll be able to be more relaxed and be able to make a better decision. And the other thing that I wrote down was have some ritual, or like have some ritual how to know when to break bad habits, like for me, when I feel like I'm having like a lot of things that bother me, I'm not be able to focus. My ritual is always like no phones, no social media. I just stay off and focus on one thing. That my brain just keeps my brain off everything else. It's either be like to just lay down, take a nap, just to avoid and just put me on a mindset like I'm just feel relaxed and nothing else bother me, and nothing else is taking me out of my comfort zone for those moments that I need. So that's one of my rituals that I do. I just stay off of social media, phones, TVs, I just stay focused and just relax. And the other thing, like ask for help. It's okay to ask for help, So yeah, like that's pretty much of the things that I wrote it down. How to become a better solving problems is things that I use on my personal life. Yeah, man, like is there anything that you want to share on this?
Yeah. For me, I want to first highlight the fact that consistency is key. It's something we highlighted on the last episode, right? So for me, I have a very particular routine in terms of when it comes to addressing a problem. Because for me, I tend to stay a lot in my comfort zone. So whenever a problem occurs, I sort of know what are the traits or qualities that a problem has for me, right? So first things first, the problem is something that is completely out of my natural habitat or something out of my natural routine, something that's not easy, something that makes me uncomfortable. So those are some of the traits that I know a problem is occurring within my life. So as soon as I'm aware of that problem, then I begin to see what are the solutions. First off, I begin to look at myself and seeing, okay, this is the problem. What are the ways I can fix this issue? But before I even look at myself, I try to see how other people who I know who face similar problems to the one that I'm facing, how they face that problem, and then I can sort of think how I can fix that problem based on my personality, based on my limitations and weaknesses, right? And as soon as I have that covered, then I completely put all the problems that I'm currently facing away, because that's no longer the focus, because I've already addressed the problem. Now it's basically just finding a solution, right? So I do the very best that I can based on the research that I've done in order to find a solution. And once I do find a solution, I basically go upon doing the best that I can to accomplish that goal, because that's all that I have left. And that's about it for me in terms of my process of addressing the problem, searching for a solution, of course doing a research from myself, from other people, and seeing what best is relatable to me and comparable to me, and then how I can pursue towards solving that problem.
Right.
So
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that I learned also that I need to mention. Sometimes we might think that whatever the problems that we're facing, whatever the problems that we're going through, we think we're going to bigger problems than everybody. But when you think about it, there's people out there that are going to worse than you, that are going through worse problems, they're going through the worst situation than you. And then they're finding ways how can they solve that problem, right? But for you, by you thinking like, yo, you have the biggest problem in the whole world, like it doesn't work like that, because when you're going through there's somebody going to worst. You know what I mean? So how can we have the mindset that the problem won't always be there? The problem won't be there forever. The problem will come, but it won't stay. The problem eventually you're gonna have to deal with it. You have to deal with it, and it will pass.
yeah,
And the problem
I
will
like
be
to
there
add on to
forever.
that. One thing that most people normally experience whenever they're experiencing problems is they have ways to distract themselves from these problems.
Yeah.
Right? And oftentimes that only makes it worse because you're only making it grow worse.
Because you're
Because
focusing,
you're not
you just
addressing it. Because you're trying to keep your mind away from it so you can remain in your comfort zone.
yeah.
So, but if you try to address the problem and try to find solutions to it, then you're only healing that problem and
Find a solution.
finding solutions.
Yeah, the more you focus on the solution, the more ways you're gonna find to solve that solution or the problem. Because they say you become what you think about. So imagine you're just thinking about problem. Oh, I'm gonna hurt that guy. Instead of you focus, okay, how can I fix things with that person, with that friend, with your girl, at work or anything? Instead of you focusing, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna act like that, I'm just gonna be mad, I'm just gonna, you know what I mean? Yo, bro, like, that's not gonna solve anything. You're just gonna make things worse. And guess what? You're not gonna have the right mindset to deal whenever the situation comes to it. So one of the main things is like, how can you stay positive? How can you make a negative situation into a positive situation? Because that's one of the hardest things. They say if you want to be successful, you gotta have the right mindset. You gotta have a positive mindset, because you can turn a negative. If you have the positive mindset, you can turn a negative mindset, any negative issue, any negative things that you're going through into a positive.
Right.
Because like when something bad happens to me, one of the things that I do now is it's like, how can I literally ask myself, how can I turn this negative into a positive? Like, I just try to find every little thing that I know is upsetting me, or I know is bothering me. So I just try, and I have to ask myself that question every single time. Is this, like I said, like building habits, or building rituals to break bad habits. So one of this ritual that I built for myself, I ask myself questions. How can I turn this into a positive? And then I ask different perspective. I usually talk to him. You know, he gives me advice. It's just to hear his perspective, just to see whatever I'm thinking, whatever the issue that I was trying to put into my mind and turn it into a positive. It's the right thing. So it's just to hear other perspective and ask for help. Like, you know, we're not perfect. There's always room for improvements, you know. So one of the biggest thing I think is like having the right mindset and to have a positive mindset. With the positive mindset, it will change, literally will change everything. And just like, there's nothing else that you can say, because if somebody just coming towards you with a very negative attitude, you have to understand, you have to know that that problem is probably that person is probably going through some. That person is probably, of course, that problem is coming with, if he's coming with a negative energy, that person is going through something negative, you know. So you kind of have to understand and put yourself in their position instead of you react. You know what I mean? That's one of the things that I used to do before, like when I was younger. the first thing I would do, I would just react instead of like ask myself questions and think before I react. Because when let's say we're having an argument, and instead of me just keep talking about that problem, we're not gonna solve anything, right? So it's better to understand your point of view than I tell you my point of view.
Right.
You know, okay, and then we can ask ourselves, okay, what's the main issue here? So the issue is here is this and that. So how can we solve this situation? How can we move forward? Because we're not gonna go nowhere. You say your problem, I say what I'm thinking. We're not gonna go nowhere. You know what I mean? So it's like hearing from one another's. Each, of course, somebody has to be positive, right? Because if we're both just coming from a negative energy, we're not gonna solve anything, right? So it's really hard at the moment. Sometimes it's just good to walk away, not talk to the person, because right at the moment it's just very intense. It's very heat. It's hard to solve problems when you coming from a negative place, he's coming from a negative place. You know, it's just better to walk off, because there's nothing that's gonna get solved.
Yeah, it's just the way of being diplomatic.
Yeah.
So this is the third episode that we've done so far. One thing that I've come to conclude on, one thing that I like to add on is we can talk, we can mention really good points here.
Yeah.
But for myself, whenever I'm watching YouTube videos and stuff like that, I like to simplify it for myself, so in the best way that I can understand. So I know there's people that are listening, but they're not really quite getting what we're saying.
Right.
So I like to simplify in a sense of steps. Right. So some of the things that we mentioned earlier. So when it comes to addressing your problems, always understand that it comes from your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So as soon as a problem occurs within you're in your comfort zone, a problem occurs, then you're no longer comfortable. There's something that's bugging you, something that's bothering you for whatever reason, right? And you need to address that problem in order to take it away, right? So that's the first thing that we established. Anything that disrupts your comfort zone, that's immediately a problem. And you have to address the problem, because if you don't, that problem is only going to become worse. Say, for example, you have an injury, right? You scraped your knees or something like that, and you don't care for it. You leave it like that, it's going to get infected. And if you just keep it like that is infected, it'll probably become even worse, to the point that you might have to get your leg cut off or something. So that's one example. So as soon as you address the problem, you figure out the solutions. Okay, I got my knee scraped. I might have to go wash my leg and put some rubbing alcohol on it to disinfect it. Or if it's really bad, then I might have to go to the hospital. Right? Those are your solutions. But those solutions are just not gonna they're just not gonna solve themselves. You have to put in the action. So you have to go to the doctors, or you have to put in the disinfectant. So that's another step. That's a simple way of sort of looking at the issue that we're talking about and trying to solve it.
Yeah, so that's pretty much rewiring our brain, or recreate our brain, how to just refocus on the solution instead of just focusing on the problems. Because at the end of the day, we all have problems, we all go through things. You know what I mean? We all go through things. It's all about better. I'm better. Um, and like I said, to apply all these points that we say, all these things, my experience, his experience, it's very difficult. So at the end of the day, it's pretty much you looking at yourself, you and your personal development on your journey. If you're good at taking notes, it's really like from the last episode, we say we really focus on like how to get to know yourself. It comes to this: if you really know yourself, you will know situations that you can avoid, situations you have to just stay quiet, situations that you can say something. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, you really have to get to know yourself and act on your experiences, and not try to make the same mistakes that you made it before. You know what I mean? How can you learn from your mistakes so you can deal with problems that you're gonna have to deal with?
I like to add to that.
Yeah.
So when you say know yourself, I do understand that not everyone is always going to come to a great understanding of who they are at any point. So when you're limited in the sense that you don't know yourself to that degree, then it's important to look at others. That's where it comes with the advice of getting other perspectives or getting other experience, because there's people that are way older than you that experience so much that you can just get their input in terms of how to handle this situation much better. So when it comes to that challenge of you not knowing yourself that well, then you can always get input from others in order for you to progress in terms of finding a solution, not focusing on the problem.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what we have for you today, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you.